Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Video Game Fight School channel. Thank you very much for tuning in. It's been a while. Took a long break because I've been working on a lot of really fun stuff in my own personal time. I've actually been learning game development using Unreal Engine 4, which is the engine that the Gotham Knights game is being cooked on. At least that's what we know for now. And so, I've been kind of quiet as well. Even after the delay of Gotham Knights, I decided not to really say much or make a video because I really wanted to sit on the entirety of the news because we had suspected it. I am, on the other hand, nonetheless, still kind of disappointed. And it's not necessarily because of just the news. There are a few things that have been on my mind about Warner Brothers Games Montreal. And to be very honest, I don't think that it's the studio's fault necessarily. There are so many wheels that turn in this corporate game development scene that it's very, very interesting for you to pretty much try to look into it without coming out with multiple proxies as, I would say, the problem causers of why we're not getting a game delivered. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't want to sound like a spoiled brat. I don't intend to do that. If anything, I've been enjoying the old Arkham games as well. Arkham Asylum is the only one I haven't finished, but I have continued to make some progress, and hopefully I'm able to beat that game. Perhaps I jinxed myself that I was going to try to beat the game before Gotham Knights came out, and then Gotham Knights got postponed, so now I think I'm committed. Now, if you were to ask me, what is the source of my own disappointment? Now, I'm not trying to speak for, say, the community or for the audience, but just my own personal aspect of disappointment. And again, I have to go ahead and preface this. This is not towards Warner Brothers Games Montreal. I think my source of disappointment is the fact that Warner Brothers Games Montreal has not necessarily been able to deliver a game since Arkham Origins. Now, we all know that this is not pretty much their fault. They have a publisher that they're under that does have the name or underscore the name of their studio. And so in my opinion, I just feel like there's so much that has probably been going on in that studio with decision making or decision makers that has not allowed for the studio to be able to bring a video game. Also, what's really important and what's really interesting is even the hiring page right now does not really inspire a lot of confidence. But again, you can't really go by the hiring page for many of these video game development companies. That's one thing. They'll probably be working on a game. They'll probably have people that they're getting in to start developing these concepts. But until after a while, you don't really know exactly what it is they're doing. So the shroud of secrecy allows for things to be somewhat murky and people don't necessarily know exactly all what's going on. So when you kind of think about it, you also have to ask what really is going on. I mean, is this the only studio that's making Warner Brothers based DC games? I mean, well, the answer is no, it's not just them. If you were to say maybe look at NetherRealms is the studio that's making Injustice, the studio that has made Injustice and Injustice 2, and you look at the consistency that's coming from NetherRealm Studios in their own game development, you have to wonder and ask, where could the issues actually be? Could it be that the management that has actually been changed and shifted hands since Warner Brothers Games Montreal released Arkham Origins is probably something that the studio has struggled with? And when I mean the management, many of you probably do know or don't know, the game director or the creative director for Arkham Origins, left the studio a while ago, pretty much. So if you actually ask me and say, okay, could that be the issue? I could say yes, maybe for a while after that person left, it took them a while to be able to find somebody that, was able to fulfill that role and actually do a good job in it, if you get what I mean. Patrick Redding showed up at the studio in 2014. So that's another aspect as well of the entirety of the narrative that you can say maybe, in finding somebody that came back into the studio and kind of refreshed things, they had to pick up a lot of, I would say, broken pieces, or they had to start from scratch. So those things could have been the issues that you can see. But nonetheless, it's quite unfortunate, though, that a studio of this caliber that's been able to deliver a very solid gaming experience in a short period of time isn't able to deliver this Gotham Knights game in the promised or proposed time. Now, if you were to ask me, I do get it. The entirety of 2021 was such a weird year, and so much has happened. And what I fear is, even in my disappointment, I also want to take into account that, this particular issue that happened last year with the entirety of the COVID, breakout and all that stuff, my fear is that it affected the studio much more adversely than we do even know about. And God forbid that, something even worse had to affect some of the developers in their time developing this game. That's why we're seeing a delay. That would be really, really sad, because I don't want to not take that into account and sound like a spoiled jerk when these developers who are trying their best to do their job, are not necessarily in a position to, to do it because, Canada has different laws, US has different laws, or maybe they're having to deal with all of the logistics and some of the challenges of what all of that stuff has brought to them. And I think that's where my disappointment also comes in, perhaps with even Warner Brothers games themselves, for not allowing for this studio to have thrived and released games that they had been working on. Many of you also know of the rumors of the Damian Wayne game. If that game had been released, I believe that we probably would have had something on the spotlight or something in place. The cancellation of that game, to me, I don't know if that was warranted, but with the way a lot of these video games get canceled, even when they're already in some, I would say viable level of development, really lends a lot of opportunity for us to say what in the world is going on in game development. But nonetheless, I'm hoping that Warner Brothers Games Montreal is able to bounce back and actually get the job done. Delay is not denial, and I understand that having the game come out in the best possible way that it can is exactly what it is that we need here in the community. Because, having waited how many years now for this studio to bring out a game, and how many years after Arkham Knight, I think it's now time that the developers are able to pretty much showcase what more they have on the table. Also, June is coming, which is the summer. Maybe we'll be able to see some more development, or maybe get some more news as to how the game's progress is going. And I think that would be something that would be nice for everybody to take a look at and to see. But anyways, I want to hear your thoughts in the comment section. Everything that I've said, whatever it is that you consider about it, please share with everybody else. And, I'll be happy to talk to you guys and respond to comments. Thank you very much for even, continuing to support the channel, even though I've taken a big, huge hiatus for a little bit, and it was a necessary one. But hopefully we'll be able to drop a video or two each week to just continue the conversation around Batman and, Batman games at large. And I hope that's also a fruitful discussion in this community. Thank you guys so much. Peace out.